Sometimes, inevitably, when you're playing Star Citizen, a gameplay session doesn't quite go as you expected. Whether that be bugs, unexpected challenges, or just the unknown, it creates an interesting element of chance to any given session. I'm Forrester, and this gameplay video showcases a session that didn't quite go according to original plan, adapting to some of the bugs and challenges that Star Citizen throws up, but trying to make the most of the session. To keep the overall length of the video down, some of the footage has been sped up, and those parts are clearly marked as such, but otherwise this video is a full session end to end. So, without further ado, let's get started. And this one starts, as often does, in the hangar. The eagle-eyed amongst you will notice this is the Polaris. Whilst not what I planned to do in this session, I was hoping to do a little bit of group salvage. I have a member of the org in need of rescue. They've become stranded in their prospector because of a quantum travel bug, and so digging out the Polaris seems like a very nice way to rescue them. I don't currently have a staff error, so that wasn't an option, so stuck with no quantum fuel, it'll fit in the Polaris. Make the steady climb out of the atmosphere of Microtech, little jump to Port Tressler, and then set the destination. Of course, another challenge is it doesn't let me set a destination directly to the party member, which can happen, I suppose. So I'm going to be setting a destination en route. He's essentially stuck between Michael 1 and Microtech, and then just cancelling the quantum trip every time until I get slowly closer and closer. And then it's actually overshot. Fantastic. So I've got within 560 kilometers, decided that's close enough, and we'll just do the rest in high speed. With both ships doing almost 1,000 meters per second flying towards each other, it doesn't take too long to close the gap. And there we have it. Little prospector. Hop on in, little prospector. So in the hopes of salvaging the gameplay session, I have brought a little MISC Fortune in the back as well. So we'll be loading up both the prospector and the Fortune in the hangar bay. It all fits. It's fine. It's fine. And bless him, Ogie, very gingerly approaching the landing because he doesn't want to dent that very shiny Fortune. But there you go. Nice little landing. Close the hangar bay doors and set course for the refinery deck. So, one of the reasons why I was requested to effect a rescue is because that prospector is essentially full to the brim of Bexelite. I think there's something like 28 SCUs on there, so really didn't want to lose that. So we'll go to the refinery deck, and then he can choose to refuel or get the refinery job going, whatever he wants. Open the hangar bay doors. And quite obviously I've pressed the open all doors button here. I have that bound on my HOTAS. So when you see the ramp extending as well, it's just because that's so much easier for me to press open all doors from the pilot seat than anything else. I also have close all doors bound. So prospector's out. He'll fly over to the refinery deck and do what needs to be done. And I'll fly over there and wait for what needs to be done to be done. Anybody who's done group play in Star Citizen will know that patience is absolutely key to any group play session. And for Ogie, who's probably watching, I really bit my tongue on your little meme. Also strikes me that nobody else will understand that tiny little inside joke, but never mind. So at this point, manoeuvring so that I'm in a good place for whatever landing pad he might come out of, and it's just up here. So bring the Polaris in and bring him back aboard, and then we'll go salvaging. Now, very zoomed out here, but I can see a tiny little space whale making his way to the airlock there. Airlock door opened. And there he is inside the ship. So with that, gonna set a course. A Crusader. Jump into quantum travel, and then at just the right moment be ready to cancel quantum travel. And here we are in the Aaron Halo, my favourite salvage spot. So what I'll do for this one is, because we've got two ships, the mothership and the actual salvager, I'm going to hop out of the pilot seat shortly, and I'm going to go back to the Fortune, and I'm going to do some scanning from the Fortune, and then Ogie will take the helm of the Polaris and take over scanning in the Polaris. This first section of any kind of panel salvage operation always involves actually hunting for panels, so 2 ships searching is probably better than 1 ship searching. Navigate the corridor of doors. This is the front section of the Polaris. Open the hangar bay. Now, the other good thing about being so far off the beaten track here is security is much less of a concern, because the chances of somebody happening on this exact spot are pretty low. Even if somebody else was going from Michael 1 to Crusader to get to the Aaron Halo, there's like a range of different values that they could jump out at, so the chances of running into somebody are so low that it doesn't really matter about things like closing the door on the Polaris. And there we have it. You're wondering why the little tumble is leaving the hangar. As soon as Ogie jumped into the pilot seat, his Polaris started moving, which is just as I was leaving with the Fortune. So, next stage, scan for salvage. And here we have our first set of panels. So Fortune, with its abrade module by default, does a decent job at salvaging away. I do miss having the second head on the Vulture with this ship, but it is a lot easier to unload to a ship like a Polaris, for example, so I can't really complain. Our original ambition was to bring something much smaller, like Zeus or something like that, that could just unload the boxes as it's salvaging. As it is, the Polaris is just a bit too large and unwieldy for being able to do those kind of complex maneuvers. plus the tractor beam is in a very different place to the bridge controls, so realistically we didn't think that was an option for this session, but no matter, we'll continue with a little bit of salvage nonetheless. But so far, so good. We've had a little bit of off-piste gameplay with the unplanned rescue. We've had a little challenge leaving the hangar of the Polaris. That one I think we can chalk down to the two of us, rather than a game bug. But we're here in the Iron Halo, we're salvaging happily. We're kind of doing most of what we set out to do, which was to get a little bit of group salvage done. So far, so good. Do find it very relaxing kind of watching the sped up footage of some salvage going on. Very zen, I think. So that's first panel pretty much done. There's a little bit of an experiment for the second panel. We're going to try bringing it to the Polaris. So the thought here was, if you can put the panels on the Polaris cargo bay, we could just take a group of panels back with us. I hadn't quite appreciated just how big these panels are. You don't really notice when you're just sat from the pilot's chair of a Polaris or a Vulture. These things are huge, absolutely massive. So no hope of it getting into the door there of the Polaris. It might have gone in the hangar bay, but I want to go in the hangar bay. So yeah, a little bit of an experiment there, but we like to test these things for science, don't we? And since we now have a little bit of salvage on board, seems the next step is going to be manoeuvring into a position that the tractor beam on the Polaris is happy with, and then going to eject some boxes. And then Ogie on board the Polaris is grabbing those crates as they're ejected and storing them nice and neatly on the cargo bay. So it's not quite as slick as having something that can more effectively follow the Fortune around. I'm still here, but it is marginally more effective than if I was unloading those crates myself, I suppose. Constantly like drifting just a little bit and trying to reposition. Oh, nearly lost that one. There we go, done. So that's the first set unloaded. Carry on salvaging some more panels. So obviously when we get to the other end, our ultimate destination, we will need to unload those once again from the Polaris, and depending on how long we're able to stay out here, it may not have been necessary. So one of the aspirations that I had of getting the smaller cargo ship was immediately hitting the Iron Halo, grabbing a load of salvage, and it'd be more than the Fortune could realistically carry. So I would say both the Fortune and the Vulture can comfortably carry, between the hopper and the cargo storage and the off-grid storage, about 36 SCUs. Yes, the talented can definitely get a lot more on. It gets a little bit nervous for me, I think, as soon as you get beyond that. So for me, about 36 SCUs. So the original plan for me was use this session, get a good couple of hours of salvage in, and really blitz right through much more than that 36 SCUs that it could carry on its own. So prove why it's useful to have a second cargo ship there, not just for the scouting, but also for storing the goods. Obviously, the unplanned rescue and having to load up the Polaris and come in and get the Prospector scuppered that plan slightly. So we'll see whether we do get more than the Fortune can carry, but that was the original plan. So the Polaris may have ended up being unnecessary, but we shall see. Searching for those extra panels. There's a medium-sized one. These are a little bit more intricate, I think, than the large panels for a little bit less reward. How it goes, I suppose. I could just salvage the big ones and ignore these smaller ones, but it just wouldn't feel right, would it? Leaving salvage on the table? Watching the filler station fill up with some delicious salvage. Put my teeth back in. About 8 SCUs now. And I guess it's time to find the next group. There's a 14,000. Loads of panels here. Good thing about having two people is whoever kind of stumbles across the first group can just crack on while the other person catches up. Now I've put both of the hoppers now on auto eject. They'll just keep on kicking out crates until they're full. So that buys me another 12 SCUs or so of cargo storage. And it gives time for the Polaris to catch up. Definitely a nice feature of the Fortune is having that option to say, just you take care of the cargo and I'll just keep salvaging for a bit. That said, when you make a steady salvage progress like this, I do miss the speed that the Vulture offers. So I feel like obligatory things I should say on every panel salvage video now. Yes, I'm aware of salvage gimbal mode. I choose not to use it. Initially, I had some challenges with figuring out how to make it work with my control setup, and actually as soon as I had figured it out, I find it's actually so much easier for me just to use the joystick and the pedals to move the ship rather than just moving the salvage head. So I find this easier. There's nothing wrong with people that use gimbals, and there's nothing wrong with people that don't use gimbals. And this video is obviously covering off some salvage panel gameplay. It's not intended to be a tutorial. There is a panel salvage tutorial available on the channel if that's what you're looking for, but this is more of just a gameplay video showcasing a session. I hope a very normal session where not quite everything goes according to plan, which seems to happen plenty in Star Citizen. So now back at the Polaris and unloading some of those delicious crates. And then what I call the Fortune rotisserie. You spin it around and grabbing the crates from the other side now. Quickly unblock and then go finish off this panel. Some lovely relaxing salvage with the Polaris clearly in view there. I like it. Nearly done this panel. Then go and find the next one. Is it just me that finds it so relaxing just watching these panels slowly melt away in front of you? It might be just me. You can let me know in the video comments if it's just me. I do like the salvage gameplay. Specifically the panel salvage gameplay. I know the ship salvage is great as well, but it's a lot more intricate, I think, than the panel salvage. This is very much just Zen painting simulator. Quick look back to the... There we go, that's a big one. That's more like it. Focus on these larger panels, definitely. So I would say from these large ones, I usually get anywhere between 6 and 9 SCUs of RMC. The smaller ones, well, the really small ones, maybe 1, and the slightly medium-sized ones, maybe 2 SCUs, if you're lucky. So these large panels are where it's at. This is what you want. I feel like I've slowly been drifting away from the panel there. I have to put my foot back on the gas and close the distance. do find the panel salvage so relaxing. I think the music helps. This is something that I can just do while I'm sat chilled out. Right, both those filler stations are now blocked. That's fine. Just switched off the auto eject just so it doesn't try and eject another box out into the already full grid. But I've always got the hopper that I can use as well, so I'm just going to finish up while I'm here. If you're wondering what Ogie is up to in the Polaris, we're just hanging out and chatting, really. So I think at this point, I'm going to just grab a little bit of extra salvage just so that I've got a nice round SCU number in the hopper. There we go, 2 SCUs in the hopper. So we'll come back. No need to unload to the Polaris cargo bay because we've decided at this point it's time to call it a night. So we can just leave that all on the Fortune. And we'll head back and sell up. Of course, if you've been watching the video this far, you'll know that there have been a few challenges in the session. So I think it's safe to say those challenges aren't yet over. Always the way. At least we've got a good amount of RMC here from our little trip to the Iron Halo. Kind of makes it a little bit worthwhile. Head for a night landing in New Babbage. It was daytime when we left, but nighttime when we get back. Wait for my hangar. There we go, it's over here. And hop on in. So with the Polaris down, I'm going to head into the hangar and extricate the Fortune. And then start moving crates off it. Now, because the tractor beam on the Polaris only reaches so far, I'm using the tractor beam on the Fortune to move crates nearer to the wall. Ideally, I'd have my Atlas out, my ATLS tractor beam mech suit, whatever you want to call it, but I don't have that out, so I'm just using the Fortune. What I'm going to do now is actually hop out, let Ogie in the Fortune to do the bits, and then I will go and grab a Vulture, which I do have out, and use that. And I'll grab these crates off. So this chaos that you're watching right now involves Ogie being warned that they're going to impound the ship. So he somehow flipped it on its little turtle back, so it's now stuck on its back, and we were worried that the ship was going to be impounded. Of course, because it's on its back, I've got no easy way back into the ship. It is very much like a little turtle stuck on its back. So I'm going to head over to my Vulture, which I usually keep out to the side of my hangar, and try and rescue the thing. Told you it wasn't all plain sailing. I feel like this kind of session where just so much goes wrong is probably very familiar to lots of you. And of course it's too heavy to lift with the tractor beam of the Vulture, so never mind, eh? Never mind. What I'm going to do, because the Vulture's got plenty of cargo storage on the back, is rather than swing these from left to right, I'll just put them all on the back of the Vulture and then fly them over that way. Goodness me, when unloading the ship is just as hard as it was to load it up. Always slightly awkward getting those last crates in. But worth doing, I think. Should be able to get all of these offloaded okay. Yeah. Easy. Using the tractor beam to move the last of these that were stuck in the middle. These were from the Fortune. And then land it down, rear view camera as best I can. And then get all the crates on the cargo grid. So that was a little bit more of a challenge than it probably needed to be. But I guess that's Star Citizen. And that's physicalized cargo. At least I have the patience to get it done, I suppose. And we have got quite a lot of crates here of RMC. We've done all right for a little short session. Get them all stacked nice and neatly. There we go. So I'm conscious this has been a little bit of a longer gameplay session video than I would usually put out, but some of you had said you'd rather see longer videos, so you can let me know if this works for you or not. I guess if you've got this far in, it probably has, but there we go. Look at all those crates. Delicious. And I've got no idea how to get back on this thing now that it's flipped. No idea. So, hop back into the Vulture. Absolute chaos with it just sat upside down there. And I'm just going to try and nudge it with the little Vulture arms. Come on. Come on, little Fortune. But I feel like it's got like engines fighting against me here. Come on, little Fortune. Nope. I don't think it wants to. I don't think it wants to move. I guess you live there now, Fortune? Thankfully, I think at time of recording we're due the next patch imminently, and that is probably going to clear out the hangar of all of this stuff. So it will all sort itself out very soon, I hope. Otherwise, every video from now on, you're just going to see an upside down Fortune in the corner, I suppose. Still, we're most of the way there. Despite all the challenges, we've got some RMC. They're unloaded, ready to be sold up. So we'll go and sell up. Nice relaxing tram ride through New Babbage to the Commons and over to the plaza. Well, that was a lot harder than it needed to be, but here we are, ready to sell some RMC. It wasn't a huge amount. Let's see what we got in the end. 38 SCUs. I mean, it's not terrible. Didn't really need the Polaris for it. 323k. I'm happy with that. I know you can get more if you sell at other places like Horizon or wherever, but this works for me. If you enjoyed this video, you might press the like button to let me know I should make more similar videos. And if you're not yet subscribed, especially if you got this far, you might like to do that too, so that YouTube will know to show you more videos like this. But otherwise, and as always, thank you for watching.